12 to 1. That's too low. We could get it up to 16 to 1. You can give a few scholarships in that help move that up, and you still haven't increased your cost in it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, the other thing is we have to find a way to get people to work. Now, the problems with the economy now, and this is going to be true for a while, is that people are just plain afraid. They are afraid to spend money because they don't know whether they'll have a job a month or 2 months from now. So people are now hoarding whatever they have so that in case of a layoff, they will have something to tide them over until they find another job. We must find a way to let people know that we are going to have jobs in this country. And we can have jobs. That's what's so trifling. Let me just give, again, a simple way to do it. During the 1930s, we started something called CCC camps.
Civilian Conservation Corps.
That's right. Yes. And what we did, we took young men who were unemployed, and had we had many of them in the streets today, they would have been on the streets, but they were mostly rural kids. We took them into a place that was kind of like the military, but not exactly. They had curfews and all of that. And what they did, they went around the counties where they were, and they did little things like planting grass in the medians, planting grass for farmers who got some federal funds to get that done. They did work. They helped to build dams and roads and all these kinds of things. They did something constructive. We paid them, and we got the economy moving. Now, what would happen if we decided that we were going to do that now? Let me just think. We need to pick up the paper and trash in every city in this country. We really need to do that.
Clean up.
So hire people, and your job is to go out and pick up the paper. Let me give you an example. I was in China, and we might talk about that a little lately. But one of the things I saw there, after every rain, I was there during the monsoon season, and even when it was not raining, they had people out sweeping the streets. They had the cleanest streets I've ever seen, just sweeping the streets. Well, these people were doing meaningful work. It kept the dust down in the city where it's crowded. Now, suppose we had people, someone would say, well, that's just medium work. But just think about how nice it would be if we had people just picking up the trash and the garbage, and that was their job to do that. Now I can go from that to greater jobs, depending on skills and so forth. But the point is, the government now paying people unemployment compensation and other kinds of things that are good, but we could put people to work with that same money, maybe a little more. Eventually these people will pay taxes, that starts the economy to moving, everything would be great.
So there's a lack of, you see a lack of confidence in terms of getting the economy started, that people are simply hoarding money and waiting on the next layoff announcement and et cetera. Well, now, how do you get that kind of confidence? Because we've been going through this, Dr. Ponder, for the last, almost the last 18 or 19 months.
Well, let me say, first of all, that I don't want anyone to accept anything that I say as being partisan politically. I'm talking strictly from economic terms. And all I'm saying is someone has to say that these are the programs that we're going to have. Someone just has to say that and start pushing our Congress in every place. When you talk to congresspersons individually, and that's across party lines, let me make sure that everybody understands that. They talk about the things that I'm talking about, but no one wants to stand out and say, this is the way we're going. And I think that's what we need to do. You can't assume that the corporations of the country are going to get things moving. You can't assume that the workers are going to get things moving. It's going to take a concerted effort, someone saying, this is the direction we're going. When we decide that we're going to have a war, it didn't take us long to get everybody in the Persian Gulf that we needed over there. In short order, we had everybody over there. The same skills that we took to do that, we can use those skills and the monies that we use to do that to get people working again. And that's all we need to do.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yesterday on one of the local radio stations in Memphis, Congressman Ford and Mayor Harrington in Memphis were talking about exactly the same idea of perhaps creating some kind of situation. Now, I think one of the things that people have talked about, Dr. Ponder, dealing with this has been the idea of an enterprise zone. As an economist, you've probably had an opportunity to evaluate these new zones. Exactly what do you see as the possibilities in these enterprise zones, allowing certain funds to go into certain areas and to, those kinds of things?
Well, first of all, let me say that it's a good idea. And at this point, let me say that what I might be saying without saying it is that any positive step is better than none at all. However, enterprise zones not going to get this country to work and moving. the way you get this country moving, because in enterprise zones you have to have people who have goods putting them there or something. But look at all the people who are looking for things to do that can't do. We have to find a way to put people to work. Now, starting at the bottom rung, where that's the man who works, someone has to come up with a plan to get that person doing some meaningful work, so that person will draw a check every week, then will go down to the grocery store and buy more groceries to feed his children, and then go and buy some clothes so they can go to school this fall. And then every time you buy something along the way, you put some more people to work. Now, if you multiply one worker times 1 million workers doing, if we start talking about just the minimum wage, it doesn't make me any difference about that. But it's meaningful work that people feel good about. And let me tell you, I know this from experience. A person feels better working for his money than he does standing in line for it. Now, I don't care what people say. The human ethics allows me to say that I would rather work for my money than have someone give it to me. Now, there are a few people who would rather have them given it to you, but that's such a few. Let's put people to work.
Good. Very good. And